Why, hello there everyone, welcome to the Living World of Darkness. Rage across Green currently, not really New York. We're too busy killing each other. This scene is set between two Silverfangs, or at least to be set between two Silverfangs. On Silverfang Salt Porch number 1, cabin of the Seekers. As Jacob has found an interesting little detail regarding a letter he was sent and a letter the Truth Catcher was sent. And he's heading on over to figure out exactly why that was. Not necessarily to start a conflict or anything, but he does feel I'm not gonna lie, he does feel a little bit miffed right now. He does feel perhaps a little bit manipulated. He doesn't feel totally okay with how things have gone. But as it is his duty to Philodox to ascertain the situation and make an appropriate judgment call, he is heading over to the cabin of the Seekers to find Balian and question him on this matter. So you just feel it is rather pertinent, especially considering the conflict between the Seekers and the Children of the Spirit Wilds right now. And so he walks in very casual attire.
Balian is he's on the salt porch, but he's not sitting. He's standing. A table has been brought out, and you see there's various different things laying on the table. A couple of magazines that look like almost like fashion style magazines, and some just a bunch of papers, and there's a laptop that's been set up, and he's just talking to a kinfolk that's typing on that laptop, and he notices Jacob approach, and he'll kind of look up and say, "Good morning, cousin. Tea?"
Yes, I believe I could probably use some. Thank you.
He'll kind of nod and gesture to the kinfolk, and they'll kind of make themselves scarce. One will pour the tea, roll the tea card out and pour 2 cups, and then after handing them to the 2 Silverfangs, make himself disappear again. And Balian will gesture to the 2 chairs. And what do I owe this visit?
Jacob's a little bit muted in his expression, and will take out 2 letters. One of it is yours, and he'll say, "It's regarding this an issue I have to follow up on, considering the pertinence of what has happened recently."
And he'll look and he'll recognize both letters. Oh, yes, the 2 letters I've sent. Once, I believe that one's to you, and the other one was addressed to the Truth Catcher.
Hmm. Now, when I had a chat with the Truth Catcher when Council was held with the Philodoxus, the Truth Catcher stated he had been sent a letter from yourself, which rose my curiosity, as I'd also received a letter from you. And Catcher hadn't, to my knowledge. And so the Truecatcher asked if I had the letter on me, and then we had a look, and as I'm sure you're aware, as you can see from this, there does appear to be a rather important detail within one of these letters that is missing from the other.
It's kind of, you are, the look on his face is you are pointing out the obvious to me. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. He kind of sips his tea and says, that's true. There is.
Would you mind explaining to me exactly why this assertion was not only made, but also made in specifically within my letter and not the Truthcatcher's? As I'm sure you're aware, within considering the current situation and considering the current recent history and conflict between your pack and the Seekers, between the children, I'm sure you understand that this does not necessarily give you good optics. Jacob appears to be choosing his words very carefully and restraining himself from saying you did a bad. He's very clear. He's very carefully, just because he pauses when he says optics, and such.
He's going to, and Balian will kind of look over at the letter, and he'll just kind of tap the wax seal on it that bears the silver fang symbol. And then he'll sit back in his chair and take a sip of his tea. That should explain it all. Cousin, I'm not going to preach to the choir. I'm not going to educate someone when they are already educated. However, the missive sent to you was a missive between two silver fangs. The suspicion of Wyrm taint amongst the children of the wilds is something that my house, as you're well aware, is something that we are. He kind of sits his head back and forth, almost kind of like he's weighing words again. Something we are tasked among the children of Falcon to watch for. The reason it was placed in your letter is it is suspicion. There is no current proof. However, as the eldest Silver Fang on Sept, it is my duty to let you know that my house is fulfilling its duty within Falcon's brood and watching for such things. Now, you saw fit to enlighten the Truthcatcher, which is your right. Once I send that letter, it is completely yours to do with as you will. However, there's almost a look of disappointment. I should hope that all Silver Fang correspondence doesn't find its way to the Truthcatcher's desk. He kind of shrugs.
The problem I have with the assertion in this letter, oh, one moment, apologies. The problem I have with the assertion in this letter is specifically due to the conflict being held. By sending this letter, okay, so there are two problems. The first problem is by sending a letter, not just by sending letters to me, but also by sending letters to the Truthcatcher, you are in effect, inserting yourself into this conflict. And making yourself a part of the discussion when you stated you would recuse yourself. Because although you are not at the council that the Philodox is held, you are making a statement that we are hearing, regarding and actions we should take as a Philodox. The second one is regarding the fact that suspicions of Wyrm taints are matters, well, you know they're matters. I don't need to, as you said, I don't need to educate you on how important that is. But that is information that should be privy. Accusations like that should be privy to the Crew Catcher. That is his job, that is his duty on this sept, to look into and investigate.
And I agree, cousin. However, there's no accusation made there. If I were to make a formal accusation, I would stand in front of the truth catcher. As traditional as I am, and the duty of my family, you of all people should know that I'm not going to make an accusation of Wyrm taint in a letter with no proof. I'm going to stand in front of the truth catcher, in front of the sept if possible. And announce it not only to the sept, but to the spirits and everyone. With proof. Everything tied up in a nice bow, much like we did with lessons. Now, I understand apparently this was taken as an accusation. Things are done differently here. Apparently, if someone writes a letter to the editor of a paper and says, for their whatever their leader is in this country at this time is a communist, apparently the balloon goes up. Fair enough. However, no formal accusation was made.
Formalities aside, there's still a very heavy implication in here. And
he kind of nods. I agree. I entirely made the implication on purpose, as I said, to let you know that my family was fulfilling its duty within the Brood of Falcon.
Why did you specifically seek to hide this from the Truth Catcher?
He'll smile. I didn't hide anything from the Truth Catcher. I sent a letter to the eldest Silverfang on the sept. I had no proof. There's no reason to go to the Truth Catcher without proof.
Have you been investigating the matter, or do you intend to? Rather, is it happening, or is it going to happen?
It's going to happen. Right now, I have a series of events. I have started a conversation with William White. As you are aware, I'm hoping that some of that conversation will help in regards to this investigation. At this point, I have nothing concrete. I just have, again, a series of events. Much like you, being a police officer for the humans. When you have signs of something that might be happening, you investigate. Before you start that investigation, you let a superior know that you're doing so. Yes?
Yes, that's why I was concerned why the Truth Catcher wasn't aware of this until the letter was shared.
The Truth Catcher is not my Silverfang superior. You are. My duties in discovering Wyrm Taint amongst the nation is not my duty to the Sept of the Green. It is my duty to the brood of Falcon. Therefore, my words went to the eldest Falcon on the Sept, not the Truth Catcher. Between you and I, cousin, the Truth Catcher's nose does not belong in Silverfang business.
So I would strongly advise you refrain from inserting yourself into a larger conflict in the future. One of the reasons I let him know was because this is a larger conflict that is affecting multiple packs, and considering the recent actions of the Shadowrunners will most likely be involving them at some point. As it now appears, there are 3 packs intent on engaging in conflict. I'm aware your Alpha and the Alpha of the children are going to work out an arrangement to resolve the issue. So
Not only
hopefully,
that, cousin. He'll kind of raise a finger. Not only that, cousin. Our Omega has also made attempts to mend the fences between ourselves and the children. And as we've already started, I have started a conversation with William White. So the process of peace is begun. Now, and he kind of raises a hand. Don't get me wrong. There are differences between our packs that are too great to forward. However, as I expressed to William White, the differences between our packs do not need to be mended for us to fight the Wyrm. We just simply need to be able to coexist on this Sept and perform our duty. And that appears to be the issue. Apparently, everyone here wants to change everyone. People aren't going to change hundreds of years of tradition. However, they can learn to compromise.
I'd hope so. I'm not going to involve myself in whatever investigation you have intended, less and a larger issue erupts from it.
And as I said, I have informed my superior that I have initiated an investigation. Once I have any sort of inclination as to lack of proof or proof, you will be the first to know. At this point, as I said, it seems to be a series of events. And it is my genuine hope that that is all it is. For although the main concept or idea of my house within this sept is that of zealotry. And we are, and have always been, extremely dedicated to our job within Falcon's Brood. We are not blind, and we will not make accusations. That, cousin, I can guarantee you. He'll take a sip of his tea. Was there anything
Jacob will
else?
as well. Has the truth catcher come to talk to you about this?
He has not.
Okay. It's just he noted to the children that if you suspected such a thing, you could go challenge them. I wasn't sure if he told you that.
He has not, and I will not make such a challenge without proof.
Right.
However, it is duly noted that should I acquire proof, I have his blessing to make a challenge.
If you had concrete,
There's so much sarcasm on that statement, it drips like honey.
yeah. If you did have concrete proof of Wyrm Taint, I doubt anyone would protest at that point.
I should certainly hope not.
I'll be convening with the rest of the Philodoxers and the Truth Catcher about where to go from here. This was a follow-up on our prior discussion when we discovered what was in these letters.
I understand.
Because there is a very heavy implication in here that has escalated in addition to having such a heavy implication without the prerequisite evidence or probable cause. But that is an issue that will be resolved by the rest of the Philodox, not just myself.
Indeed.
I'll inform you of how that goes and whether action will be taken based on this discovery.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing from you again, cousin. Until then, he kind of gestures to the things. My pack is apparently to make an assassination. He kind of rolls his eyes. He's like, I have no talent for this. However, we will make it work.
Jacob just kind of looks in the direction you're kind of gesturing. What does he see? What?
He sees the fashion magazines and all the stuff regarding Aiden's girlfriend and the CEO of Enron Oil and all that stuff. All that all that information is kind of sitting over there on the table, and Balian's kind of going over it. You can tell, trying to see how he can best assist in this. If you can see on his face, he's like, I got nothing. Assassinations aren't necessarily his thing.
I can imagine. Which one?
And he kind of leans over and he'll kind of shuffle through some papers and stuff, and he'll pull up. Let's see. CEO Patrick Mason. And he'll shift to a couple of them. And then apparently we also have a target named who's a PR manager, Marissa Campbell.
Oh.
It is the belief of the Wormfoe that should we eliminate these two, that the Enron oil operation will be severely hampered.
Both of those would slow down their corporate bureaucracy significantly. Striking down a PR manager would actually be fairly important. Enron does love to portray it a good oil company that everyone loves. Removing that image would hurt them significantly. They rely on it to get a lot of their jobs done and permitted.
It's just the actual act itself that is not necessarily my forte.
Neither would it be mine.
However, I
Then
have
again,
full,
neither of us are ragabashers.
indeed, I have full faith in my pack in finding a way. We will execute the workforce orders.
I'm sure you'll figure something out. I'm more concerned as to how we can stop this project completely.
But as I see, and he kind of shuffles through some papers, construction on the actual rig itself is slated to start next week.
We don't have a lot of time.
No.
And my pack is wrapped up dealing with spiral dancers.
We all have our crosses to bear, cousin.
If I were better at this sneaking around business, I might be able to find some evidence to halt their construction with it. At the very least, I'd be able to slow it down massively with a prolonged investigation. But
have we considered some sort of a injunction? Does anyone here have ties towards bureaucracy that might be led to stop construction, remove permits, anything such as that?
I don't have ties there. I believe there is some... I can't say for certain. I do believe, ironically, the children do have some sort of political or street-level connections. I know Topisa managed to form a very, very large protest, actually, against Endron. Unfortunately, they're going against the wishes of the people anyway.
Yeah.
But it is hurting them still.
Well, as we saw in the oil pipeline in South Dakota, people can camp there for all they want. They will just be removed.
When dealing with something this big, as is the saying, popular quote nowadays, too big to fail, it's a matter of taking them out with bug bites.
Well, there's also the thought that hitting them in the pocketbook. Enron is a company that has significant resources. However, an oil well carries quite the price tag. If it were to be allowed to get to a certain point in the construction where there was no turning back and then destroyed, it kind of, shrugs a little bit, almost like weighing the answer. That would be quite a blow to their bottom line, their shareholders, into a bit of a frenzy.
Maybe. We're talking about institutions where money is literally no object.
True, but I'll have to look more into Enron. If it is something that is shareholder-based and it's actually traded, large significant events like that can definitely cause issue with their bottom line and then amongst their shareholders. And companies that don't have happy shareholders aren't generally companies very long.
True. But as your Omega said, once they start digging, we're losing, and once they hit oil, we lose completely. We've lost, so we need to stop them before that happens, because once they entrench themselves, they're going to be much more difficult to remove.
Well, I agree. I don't think we allow them to dig. However, once the rig is 3/4 or 75 to 80% done, the materials and time that they've put into it at that point, if we were to suddenly demolish it, all that is gone.
Hmm.
And it also gives us a bit more time to handle the other things. So we're not looking at a lost cause if they are able to start construction next week. Building an oil well, it does not take a day.
Hmm.
So although it is a setback for them to actually begin construction, it's not the end of the world.
No. I have no doubt you'll find a way to handle the situation. Once the Striders clean up the threats on our end, we'll probably start targeting Endron ourselves.
Fair enough. If you
I should probably get going. Oh, sorry.
Matthew says, if you or the Truth Catcher requires anything else of me, I am at your service, of course.
Of course. I should really get going now. I do have to speak to the other Philodoxy, so I'll
Indeed.
get back to you and have a club to lecture.
I heard. Interesting. Joe apparently has grown a pair of balls. However,
He's going
simply
to
does not know
saddle.
where to place them. Fair enough. Thank you for the visit, cousin. I hope I answered all your questions appropriately.
You have. I'll be accounted for. Business. See you soon.
Indeed. And he will hand his teacup to his kinfolk and stand up and start looking at the papers again.
Yeah, and Jacob will notice that oh, Darcy's on the cover of Cosmo. Lovely. As he will be on his way, and yes, we'll probably return to Truth Catcher and Catcher to inform them of what he's of Balian's reasoning, and how to handle that from there. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watch for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.